Administration has taken control of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Bureau's leadership has focused almost exclusively on rolling back any punishments, fines, and penalties doled out against companies during the Biden administration. Companies that were supposed to refund their customers or pay a penalty for unfair or deceptive practices are no longer bound to make their customers whole. Other companies facing charges of fraud or deceptive practices saw their lawsuits dropped. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The neighborhood social site Nextdoor, hoping for a revival by turning to local news providers. As part of a redesign, Nextdoor is partnering with more than 3,500 local news outlets. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
There's another twist in the Jeffrey Epstein case, this one involving Israel. Well, it doesn't. But yet it does. At one point before Bongino became the deputy FBI director, he's telling a story that a reporter trusted him with something that was shocking to Bongino. The reporter said, "You do know Epstein is an asset for a Middle East nation." Bongino said, "That would make sense. Epstein was not recording clients to blackmail them. He was being used by a foreign Middle East nation." Question for you. Which Mideast nation is known for its intel agency? You guessed it, the Israeli Mossad. So here comes a former Israeli Prime Minister, Bennett. He put on social media, as a former Prime Minister, with the Mossad reporting directly to me, I say with 100% certainty, the accusations Epstein worked for Israel in any way is totally false. Such allegations are slander and lies against my country. Well, what's the truth? Legendary broadcaster Edward R. Murrow once stated, "Anyone who isn't confused doesn't understand the situation." I'm confused.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
I want to tell you more about Wellington Environmental's dustless blasting services. Wellington can blast paint, grease, graffiti, even stripes off parking lots. Truly amazing and powerful. But can Wellington blast something more sensitive? Yes, Wellington can use dry ice to blast soot and odors off smoke-damaged surfaces right after a fire. Currently, Wellington uses dry ice to clean mold off wood inside a home. Why? Well, dry ice immediately disappears, turns into a vapor. That means no mess to clean up, no damaged surfaces. You need to check with Wellington. Always researching and practicing with new, better, faster, safer equipment and products for you. And it's very easy to schedule an estimator for your next project. Call Cindy, 314-644-4930, 644-4930. Be well with Wellington.
News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Give me land, lots of land, and the starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and a happy Wednesday to all of you and yours. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, and Ashlyn over there. And big day for you today. It's going to start now, but it's also going to be at 1 o'clock when Jim Carafano was on. This morning was a mind-blowing discussion with Jim, a report about China and its role in the pro-Palestine rallies all across the country. And normally you'd think, well, must be a conspiracy theory, whatever. When it comes from the Heritage Foundation and people like Jim Carafano, this is dead serious business. They've nailed it down even to an American millionaire or multimillionaire in Shanghai. It's almost like it's some kind of science fiction political thriller, but it's crazy. And there's a lot to learn about this. A lot of things that I didn't know or wouldn't even imagine knowing. But first, let me tell you something. It's not very often, we haven't seen it in a long time, where Ann Wagner and the 2nd Congressional District, first of all, has a primary. Sometimes you do, but very rarely do some people take on the so-called big dogs, but Ryan Sheridan is.
And firefighters, assaulters left this bill. Y'all don't know what white privilege looks like.
Let's be honest. Washington is crazy. I know how to deal with crazy. My name is Ryan Sheridan. I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I'm running to be your congressman because our current representative, Ann Wall Street Wagner, doesn't work for me and you. She works for the same corporate cash kings who make our state less affordable and less healthy. As Republicans, we can't go along to get along anymore. Unlike Ann Wagner, I've always been America first. President Trump is fighting for regular Americans like you and me, and he needs real supporters in Washington. Ann Wagner blew through her term limits pledge, stopped showing up for our district, and rubber-stamped reckless spending. It's making us poorer, while her accounts keep rising. Ann Wagner, I'm calling on you to return your big pharma money today.
So that's just a sampling of what Ryan Sheridan is talking about. That video, and I'll be able to direct you to that, and Ryan will too on his campaign site. This is going to be an interesting next few months. And I was at the event last night in Kirkwood where Ryan announced that he would be running. And I've been to many campaign events. It's rare when you have campaign events for people who are relatively not well known and who are announcing a candidacy for a congressional seat where you have that many people at the event. I've been around the block on these things. One of the things I noticed, and I'll talk to Ryan about this really quickly here. I don't want to do all the talking, but is the total absence of consultant class type people, So this is going to be interesting. This is a real grassroots campaign. Ryan Sheridan, welcome to the show. And I will have to say, I met your wonderful mom, Sally, for the 3rd time last night. So
Couldn't miss her, I'm sure.
No, really, she's gorgeous. But I first met you when you were in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that. You didn't tell me in the times we've talked, but Sally brought Ryan to the Laura Ingraham event.
Yep.
That was held, so many years ago back at the old station.
Yeah.
And you were like a 5th grade kid.
Yep.
And you're tagging along with your mom.
Absolutely. No. I dragged her to the event. It's something I wanted to go to.
Is that right?
Yeah. And we went to another one, a Bill O'Reilly event similar to that at one point too.
Yeah, I remember that one. I think I was there for both of them. And wow, what a difference that makes. So you're the one that brought your mom to the Laura Ingraham event as a 5th grader.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, at the event I had flip-flops on, and Laura was great. And she said, you really should wear nicer shoes to an event like this.
She did.
And it stuck with me ever since. So I've had this a distaste for flip-flops in public ever since.
That's crazy because and that's something Laura would say, because she doesn't worry about that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. It's kind of like, well, when I took my 12-year-old son Aiden to a Doug Giles event, and Aiden was drinking out of a straw, and Doug Giles said, men don't drink out of straws. And Aiden never forgot it. He never touched a straw again.
Yep.
Sometimes those events could be influential.
Yeah, especially at that age.
Yeah. So aside from the flip-flop lesson, though, throughout your life, you have started, I think, amassed a lot of knowledge about politics and and it's fueled your enthusiasm to the point where you finally decided, hey, I'm going to run for Congress. How'd
Yep.
you come up to that conclusion?
Yeah, I've always been in tune to politics, but my work, my professional life really led me to the conclusion that we are not being served by the folks in charge. And that really starts right here in our district with Ann Wagner. Uh, as a nurse practitioner, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I have a private practice. I see how the healthcare system is failing all of us. I'm also involved in real estate and development and investing in housing. And I see how the housing system is not working for Americans. Those are the two largest things in our lives. Largest expenditures are healthcare and our housing. And I see how it's just not working. And everyday people struggle to get by. And yeah, you can make the case that some people are getting by and that just because the stock market's up and all that. But the reality is, our leaders are not doing their job by making sure that we can all afford the basics on a consistent basis. And I'm the first to say that, I've been a Republican my entire life and I believe in conservatism, but the counterfeit conservatism that's on top of the Republican Party right now has got to go. And that means delivering in real solutions for people and not just giving lip service to the party and the people. When it's easy, it means delivering conservative principles consistently, regardless of who's in power and regardless of what's going on. We deliver the same results.
Yeah, and you had a lot to say about the consultancy class and the donor class and how that seems to be driving a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people, even in Republican politics.
Absolutely. The problem is, if I don't have a problem with donors or corporations being involved in politics. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
But when an individual or a party becomes entrenched in a donor class with political action committees and funders that are working nefariously against the American people, that's when I have a problem. We're all going to, as people running for office, we're all going to take donations. That's how it works. But you can't tell me that millions of dollars coming in from a specific industry that's working against the interests of the American people is a good idea, and it's going to benefit the American people. And industry, for example, that Ann Wagner takes so much money from, Big Pharma, Wall Street. She's taken millions of dollars from Big Pharma and the insurance industry. You can't tell me that she has our interest at heart if her money keeps coming in. She can say what she wants in public, but they don't sign the checks and keep them going if she's not given what she wants behind closed doors. That's just not how it works. And that's the same is true with Wall Street. She takes donations from organizations like BlackRock. I mean, come on, these are organizations that we can all agree do not have our vested interests at heart. And so, as Republicans, we can't just go along to get along with this kind of stuff. We have to be the ones that say, no, enough is enough. Trump made this the Republican Party about working people, and it's my mission to continue that legacy and carry it and expand it for years to come. And if we don't, make no mistake, when Trump is gone in 2028, Ann Wagner and the Republican establishment will roll back everything that they did to pre-Trump, and we will be sitting with a uniparty control, zero conservatism in principle, and we will all be sicker and poorer because of it.
Yeah, that's a big fear. I mean, I trust that J.D. Vance will continue along, but I also know that there are a lot of Republicans who are kind of waiting for Trump to leave.
Absolutely.
And he took over the wheel of the Republican Party back in 2015, probably saved the party.
Absolutely.
If Hillary Clinton had won the presidency in 2016, the Republican Party would have gone the way of the Whigs.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, there are a lot of Republicans who don't have the level of gratitude they should have for what President Trump did, but not only what President Trump did and President Trump, but the people who put him into office.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
they think that they'll just kind of like get by us later on and move us by when they go back to all the big money people who are going to be supporting them, and they could just and Trump daddy's not going to be around anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's the problem. These people think that all these MAGA voters like myself and these America First people are just going to fall in line behind somebody like Mitt Romney. It ain't going to happen, folks. We're not that party. The party of Wall Street is no longer the Republican Party. That's the Democrat Party. That's where their allegiance lies. The War Party and the Wall Street Party are the Dems. That's not us.
Yeah.
And if we don't heed that and we don't actually embrace that and clear the rot in the Republican Party, you can rest assured the Republican Party will go the way of the Whigs.
Yeah. And Mitt Romney will have us all eating strawberry vinaigrette salad dressing again, just so you all know that story. So I've been telling it to my audience for a few years now. So this is interesting because you're a young man, and I saw a lot of young people at your event, and also a lot of older people, and you even addressed the people who were not maybe Trump supporters.
Sure.
You never knew who was there, who might not have been Trump supporters, but still are looking for a new form of conservatism. I'm sorry, the original form of conservatism, the Coolidge formulation of conservatism.
Great distinction.
Exactly. And so you address them as well. But in your generation, the people you're talking to every day, were they all Trump voters, or are they conservatives who didn't vote for Trump, or how are you sensing the younger generation now?
Yeah. Most people in my orbit are Trump supporters, but they may not have been full MAGA, but they align themselves with Trump because he is a visionary and has a promise of something better. The tone for younger people is, what do we have? What is this political class gonna give us? And when what they're giving us is debt and debt and debt and endless wars and more debt and no solutions for any of our actual problems, they have a real disdain for any politician, especially one that might be hanging around for too long.
Yeah.
And so what I think is, as Republicans, we can't just rubber stamp, no matter who's leading Congress. We can't just rubber stamp the spending or the endless wars that we've talked about. So generationally, there's young people in the room, and to them, I say, we've got to be the ones that say, no, we're not going to allow these people who are making the decisions to put all that weight on us, because that's what it comes down to when you talk about $37 trillion in debt now, and then in 10 years we'll be at $60 trillion. That's not sustainable. And to the non-Trump supporters, I say what I'm offering is solutions that make the American dream attainable. And that principle belongs in the Republican Party. I mean, the Republican Party in history has expanded freedoms for people. We go dating back to Abraham Lincoln and through the civil rights movement. That's something people don't talk about. But the Republican Party is the party of conservatism and real freedom and liberty. And that starts with making sure that younger generations have access to the American dream through ownership, through good health. So I say somebody like Ann Wagner's had her chance to deliver, and she has failed. And so it's time to go.
Ryan Sheridan is running against Ann Wagner in the Republican primary for the 2nd Congressional District seat. And if you can stick around for just one more little stab here, buddy, I want to ask you about what it would be like a Ryan Sheridan versus a Democrat. And also, Ryan is already getting a little pushback from some people in the Republican Party. We won't be naming names, but there are some people already kind of pushing back on this challenge. Ryan, what's your website, by the way?
SheridanforMo.com. That's SheridanforMo.com. And also Sheridan for Missouri.
SheridanforMo.com and Sheridan for Missouri. Ryan Sheridan, stick around. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, Rob Very, who's an old friend of mine, old friend of the show, he's a great guy, and he's also the king of St. Louis bath restorations and renovations. Whether it's man-made cultured stone, natural stone, Rob and his team provide a very low-maintenance and grout-free option. They hate grout. I know you do too, because you have to clean it every weekend, don't you? You have to spray it, clean it, blah, 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 or just let it get all black and nasty and everything else. With groutlessness, you have more time to hang out at the pool and do whatever it is that you want to do. St. Louis Bath and Renovation, your one-stop shop for full-service bathroom renovations. You can redo your bathroom entirely. You can just totally remodel it, whatever you want to do, or you just need it repainted, or you need it adjusted, or you need a new shower wall, whatever happens to be. Rob and his team will specialize in you at all levels. STLBR.com. Get a hold of Rob and the team today. Not only thank them for supporting free common sense conservative radio, but for a long-time contribution to the great small business community that we have. St. Louis Bath and Renovation, STL Bath and Renovation, STLBR.com.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
SR1 Sundays.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Kaiser. Be sure and check out my show, Straight Lines, this and every Sunday at 8 p.m., right after Stand and Fight, part of SR1 Sundays. Let's meet right here and let's peel back some layers of this crazy world, and you might be surprised at what we find. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on SR1 Sundays at 8 p.m., right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser on News Talk STL.
I know what you're doing. You're making your cooling system work too hard, aren't you? And it's chugging along. Maybe it's on all day. That's an indication that your HVAC is not clean. Something's not right. You're wasting a lot of energy on your electric bills and everything else. And you're chug-a-lugging with the HVAC system. And that shouldn't be. Patriot Heating and Cooling. Call PatriotHVACSTL.com. Craig, Sean, the rest of the team are outstanding people. I had them at my house not too long ago because my bottom air conditioner went out for the first floor, and they found the problem right away. And they did a little investigation, found the problem right away. Didn't just come in and say, well, it looks like you need a new air conditioner. They didn't say anything like that. They looked, they did the investigation, a little bit of Columbo there, and found the part that was a problem. And on top of that, the part was already in their truck. So all they had to do was put that part in, and boom, they're ready to go. Because they can anticipate a lot of these problems. All you have to do is call them, tell them on the phone what's going on, and then they can anticipate some of these problems, and they'll be ready to tackle them instead of making you wait after they've come out and given you a once-over. So check it out for all of your cooling and eventually your heating needs. Patriot HVAC STL. Call PatriotHVACSTL.com. Craig and the team, strong supporters of free, common sense, conservative radio. Call PatriotHVACSTL.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are ya? This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I'll show you the ropes, kid. Show you the ropes.
Jamie Allman here and Ashlyn over there, and over yonder is Ryan Sheridan, young Ryan Sheridan, who is running against Ann Wagner, announced it last night for the Republican nomination for the 2nd Congressional District. This is something quite unusual. Not everybody decides they're going to challenge Ann Wagner. She has a long record of winning and a lot of support in a lot of different areas. But Ryan has said, and he said even if you go to Ryan Fermo,
Sheridan Fermo.
Sheridan Fermo.
Yep.
You'll see a great video. It's about 2.5 minutes, and he explains everything about why it's time for a change. And of course, the argument from some of the people, and I have heard from some people, Ryan, and they're people who are really heavily entrenched in Republican politics. They're involved with Josh Hawley. They're involved with Eric Schmidt. They're involved on a number of levels in very strong conservative circles. And they are already saying that they may be supporting you. So this is not going to be an easy skate. And you know what? It's probably good for the district to have a brand new exercise in trying to figure out what's going on and everything else. And of course, we'll have Ann Wagner on the show as well, all that kind of thing. But Ryan, you can tell there's a little bit of seriousness going on as it relates to how seriously people are taking Ryan, not only from that positive end, but also a little bit from the negative end, because you've already heard from maybe a couple of Republicans that you've told me about who weren't super happy about what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you go against the machine, people get scared. When their power is threatened, people get scared. We saw the same reaction to Donald Trump when he got onto the scene. And when you deliver and you articulate real common sense solutions and ideas that resonate with everybody, like solutions for housing, healthcare, immigration, they don't like that because you're going against the narrative that they need to be in control and that they have the best solutions, that the donor class, the consultant class, the swamp knows what's right. And the reality is this is a grassroots movement. If Ann were more present in the district and we're actually talking to people and hosted town halls, which she's never had conversations with real constituents, I think she'd been in a different place. You know, her numbers have continued to slip every single election she's had for the most part. And it's why the Dems think they can win. And there's a real chance that they could this time. I mean, they're going to pump millions of dollars into the race because that I don't think that they'd be able to even have a chance if I were the nominee, because I will bring in independence in a way that she can't. I rally the base in a way that she can't. The base is really just disinterested in Ann Wagner, and I can even loop in disillusioned Democrats because my message is something that everybody can resonate with. Real solutions, your answers to your problems, and it's not this Washington elitist swamp drip 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 from DC.
In politics, it seems sometimes people mistakenly underestimate the enthusiasm factor. They mistakenly talk. They say, well, Trump was able to achieve what he achieved by bringing in enthusiasm, bringing back enthusiasm,
Absolutely.
bringing back people who now said, wow, he knows my name. Basically, he knows what I'm thinking about. I feel like I'm part of. I feel like I can invest in this. I mean, my goodness gracious, back in the day, that's why Republicans would lose all the time, with the exception of G.W. Bush. People like Mitt Romney and these others, there was no one who identified in any way, shape, or form with them. And and McCain, they didn't want to identify with any of the real people either. So, I mean, the enthusiasm factor is a big deal.
Yep, absolutely. And that's exactly the problem. They're out of touch. They have no lockstep with the actual working people of America. And that's what Trump said. I'm going to listen to these people and I'm going to hear what they have to say. And then I'm going to give them some answers, some solutions. That's what people want. It's not complicated. And that's what this campaign is about. It's about real solutions for people who are struggling. And this isn't, people say, well, you know, Trump's in the White House and he's going to make everything better. And yeah, he's doing a lot. And we have a lot to be thankful for to have President Trump term 2. But the reality is the term is 3.5 years left. The elites will absolutely swarm back in, and I love JD Vance, and I hope he's the next nominee if it gets there. He's performed tremendously well, but Congress has to do its job, and if Congress is full of rhinos and counterfeit conservatives and America last people, then that's what we're going to get. The president can only do so much.
Yeah, and President Trump is also more talented than a lot of other people in the Republican Party at talking directly to Congress.
Making deals.
And listen, J.D. Vance is a great guy, but I don't know how much he's going to be able to hold sway over Congress the way President Trump has. So to your point, having people who have the Trump blood in them is a good thing to have in Congress. You know what the argument will be, however. It will be that, well, you know, you can't win against a Democrat like an Ann Wagner could. And that, even though that's a confusing and maybe even almost a statistically baseless type of claim, that's what they'll claim, is that you're gonna hand this over to the Democrats. I'm like, I don't know. You know that argument's going to be made.
Yeah, I'm sure that argument's going to be made, but it doesn't hold water because the reality is, I will energize the base in ways that haven't been energized because nobody really goes out to vote for Ann Wagner. I mean, let's just be honest. They vote because it's the only Republican on the ticket and they're voting straight ticket. My message, as I said, will resonate with lots of people. across independents, Democrats. The other side of the coin is we have Republicans, younger Republicans don't turn out right now. They've turned out for Trump, but they do not turn out in midterms, and they do not vote for in the congressional races. If I just pick up a fraction of those young voters that went for Trump, it's in the bag.
Yeah. Yeah. Those midterms, man. People just, I'm always shocked. Even in 2022, it was like the voter turnout for midterms was so low.
It's pathetic.
And in Republican, I mean, it was like, it really was so much.
But
at
why
stake
is
then.
that? Because they're not talking about issues that the young people care about. My generation wants to know, how is the older generation going to stop burying us in debt and make my life better? And if you don't answer those questions, they're not going to show up for you. That's what Trump did. He said, I want to make your life better, and here's how.
Yeah.
And he talked simply and to the point, and he didn't wish-wash it with all kinds of figures and policy ideas that are so over their head. He said, I hear you, I see you, and here's some solutions.
Yeah. And I see you too as one of the first kind of post-COVID generation candidates. Even though it's not like you're in high school during COVID. What I'm saying is you kind of a lot of people in your generation learned a lot from the destructive activities of the people who were not only running the joint as it relates to all of the shutdowns and everything else, but also Big Pharma and all these folks who pushed all this stuff and caused severe damage to younger people in their bodies and beyond.
Not just the bodies, but our complete disillusionment with the system. I mean, we saw the systems crumble, and we saw the lies, and we don't want to deal with that anymore. And if these institutions in health, CDC, NIH, now we're seeing a turnaround with the current administration, but again, this is talking about a change that's going to happen over many years, if not decades, that we need to implement. So we need people that are going to hold these organizations accountable for their lies and demand humility for what they did during COVID. And because we saw what happened when they were in power and what they did. They wanted control. They were hungry for it. They would throw us under the bus, literally our health under the bus for their control.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was shocked at the number of Republicans who just kind of stood by. I mean, even here locally, our governor stood by and just let Sam Page destroy people's lives.
They said the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
And the reality is, in America, freedom and liberty should absolutely be 100%. And if you're going to try to trample on our freedom and liberty, there should be somebody in Congress, a lot of people in Congress. Congress should be made up of people that say no. You know, the sign of a good representative is somebody that stands up in the face of danger and says, enough. This is not, we're not going to take this. And Ann Wagner has not been that individual. She, time and time again, proves that she's unable to stand up in the face of danger. Silence is deafening in this case. You know, you don't get to skirt by in Congress, especially in the day of social media when things are going wrong. You have a voice. It's your responsibility to use it for good and to make sure that all Americans are accounted for and protected, especially your ones in your district, but all Americans.
Yeah. So going back to fifth grade, we'll just end it on this because we're kind of full circle there. So you brought your mom, Sally, to Laura Ingraham, fifth grade. It's when I first saw you and didn't really know it. But what would compel, where did the fifth grader taking his mom to Laura Ingraham come from? Where did that part come from?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. In fifth grade was 2000 for me, and George Bush was running for president, and I volunteered for George Bush. There's some pictures of me holding up George Bush signs.
Yeah.
You know? In hindsight, I'm like, oh, George Bush, how far the party has come. I mean, that's really when Ann Wagner came on the scene, and we're not that party anymore. So I've evolved from then since then too. But it was really just my interest in politics is my interest in people, and that is seen through my work too. It's just relating to people, human to human, connecting. You know, my work as a mental health professional, as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, is really about helping people help themselves. So that's all I want to do. That's the objective here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. And you probably noticed that there were a lot of people in the movement who were happy. You know, like they seem to be happy warriors, joyful warriors, as we call them. It always makes a kid comfortable. All right.
Sure.
So where can we get a hold of you, Ryan?
Head over to my website, SheridanForMo.com or SheridanForMissouri.com. I say Mo because it's cool. We're from the Mo state.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. But yeah, like and share on Facebook. Follow me on X, Sheridan for Mo on X. Get in touch with me. Happy for volunteers, donations, whatever. Get involved with this movement. It's a lot of energy. You're going to see a lot more coming over the next weeks and months. We're going to be rolling out policies. So anybody and everybody get on board.
All right, Ryan Sheridan. Good luck, man. And of course, you're welcome anytime. And I'm sure you will be here a few times before the actual election. So it'll be interesting to watch everything and watch how things go for you. And appreciate the discussion. Ryan Sheridan, have a great rest of your day, man.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right. This is Common Sense Radio coming up. Man, this is mind-blowing. Jim Carafano confirming China's role in the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine movement in this country. And it's locked down, nailed down, backed up. There are receipts. We'll have that for you coming up on the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019 991 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
And then the media.
1019 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL.
Gemini Wealth Group. I've got good news and I've got bad news. And it just so happens the good news is the same as the bad news. A lot of people who are retiring are living 10, 20, 30, 40 years past their retirement, which is a good thing. But it's also a bad thing if you're not ready to rock and roll financially. Gemini Wealth Group to GeminiWealthGroup.com, GeminiWealthGroup.com. And let me tell you something. Jeff Portman is the leader of the team. You can get a hold of him directly at 314-888-0123, 314-888-0123. And you got to make sure that everything is diversified, that you've been making long-term decisions, not short-term decisions. You have to make sure you've been starting to figure out, okay, what's my health cost going to be? And where is everything as it relates to like what my taxes are going to be? All those kinds of things you need to figure out. And that's exactly what Gemini Wealth Group is going to help you do. TheGeminiWealthGroup.com. Also, what's going to be your outlay in terms of where you're going to be living, how you're going to be living, your mortgage payments or your rental payments, all those kinds of things. If you are about to retire, the Gemini Wealth Group will help you. If you're already retired and you might be with somebody else and you're listening to me saying, well, my guys aren't talking like that, then maybe you need a second opinion. That would help you. The GeminiWealthGroup.com, the GeminiWealthGroup.com, or Jeff Portman directly at 314-888-0123.
When it's important to you,
This is what leadership looks like.
it's on News Talk STL.
The yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
News, analysis, opinion.
We're sort of celebrating like the biggest bill of its kind ever signed.
You will start seeing historic growth like we've never seen before.
Will it affect the elections? Well, that's what America's all about.
It's going to make this country into a rocket ship.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
My talk station.
News Talk STL. Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
You can take these facts.
I know for a fact.
It's just about time. It's not now. When?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that. And well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I've been a customer of Royal Banks of Missouri for many years. They are a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Royal Banks offers Missouri a full range of financial services covering all of your personal and business banking needs, as well as access to over 200 ATM locations. Royal Banks of Missouri also offers convenient interactive teller machines that will connect you with a banker virtually and in real time, available at all their branch locations, and those are open weekdays from 8 to 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Plus, given today's headlines in the overall banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks of Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. That's Royal Banks of Missouri, the community bank for your community. Visit them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Window World, I was so happy to make this video that's going to show up on the Window World website, and I'll put it up on the Facebook page and everything else. And love these guys so much. And as I told Leah, who was doing the video, I was like, I feel like when Window World became a sponsor of the show, I kind of feel this way about everybody who's sponsoring the show, but it's just another celebrity outfit, and I feel like we're so tied in together. I'm really honored to have them on the show because they're really just great in their top line in the business. They've got the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Qualified Remodeler magazine is saying, hey, these guys are selling more windows than anybody in the country. 314-993-1800, preferred window of the St. Louis Blues, and so many homeowners who want thermal superiority. They want that double paned window. They want that beautiful looking window. They want to save their money on the heating and cooling bills because it has, again, that thermal superiority that's going to do the trick for you. Just check it out. This is simply the best for less, these windows. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800. Window World, simply the best for less with great financing plans for you as well and free in-home estimates. Window World, simply the best for less, 314-993-1800.
Colombo and Company.
The White House announced they've opened an official investigation into Biden's use of the auto pen. We'll get you all the details Wednesday, plus Rodney Boyd, Danny Devine, and Closest Cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday to all of you. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, Ashton over there, 101.9 and 94.1. Yeah, coming up, man, I'll tell you what, Jim Carafano is going to knock it out of the park. This is really shocking. I realize there are a lot of people, China's behind it. You're like, oh, sure, whatever. But, man, this is full report from the Heritage Foundation. It is going to be breaking all the news as we head into the week, and something's going to have to happen. And once Donald Trump gets a hold of this, he's not going to be giving China a break. I want to double back on this. You all know this is Debbie Klobuchar claiming that people will not get alerts for natural disasters without PBS and NPR. She's so full of beans. But that's what her claim is. And Klobuchar appeared on the MSNBC show, and this is what she had to say.
This is completely outrageous. Remember, this is money that was already decided on by a Republican House, a Democratic Senate. It was a bipartisan agreement. And if they can just start to go in there and take away these incredibly important funds, the sky's the limit. So that's my first point to our Republican colleagues. What are you doing? I guess you'll just rubber stamp anything Donald Trump wants. But the second one is, look at what this is for. Just as we've seen these weather disasters, including horrifically in Texas, but the fires in Arizona and the like, in many remote areas, or if in states like Florida with hurricane season upon us, they rely on a series of public broadcasting to get alerts out.
You detestable liar. You all know, I told you this on Monday, what the truth is about Kerrville, Texas, and the alerts that went out. And the NPR station there in that Texas area, it took them 6 hours to put out an alert to Texans. And by then, it was way too late. The National Weather Service had issued a warning, a red alert. Every other news organization in that area reported on it. The public radio station in that area, it took them 6 hours to report on it. And that's while they're bragging that they're going to be the go-to people for alerts. But if you were listening to NPR in that part of Texas, which I doubt some people were, but if you were, you're probably dead. So Debbie Klobuchar is a terrible person for exploiting the fears of individuals, particularly exploiting the fears of individuals when there actually is no basis in fact. In fact, it goes in the opposite direction. All right, here's something that I didn't know. You know that we didn't. It's so interesting how they suspended the Secret Service agents over the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt of President Trump. And then we don't know what they did. Like, we're saying, well, what did they do? Like, how come they were suspended? Like, what's going on? And why were they not fired, for instance? Because the president was almost killed as a candidate, obviously. Then it turns out that, we heard about the whole slope roof thing, and there were all these memes out there and everything else. It turns out that a couple of the Secret Service agents reprimanded for kowtowing to the Trump campaign and deciding not to protect the president in the line of sight area the way actually the Secret Service was intending to. This is really kind of surprising to me because all along, we thought that the Secret Service, these guys were failing and probably inside wanted them to die, all this kind of stuff. But what happened is they have that line of sight over that building where the attempted assassin put himself. But at one point in trying to figure this out and what was going to go on with trying to protect the president, the Secret Service suggested that there be a bunch of farm implements and things like that would disrupt the line of sight from the roof of that building. So, in spite of what we were hearing about the Secret Service just not doing its job, and because of that building, the AGR building in question here. So it turns out that the Wednesday before the rally, the Secret Service said, all right, we see the problem here, the line of sight to the stage. So what we're going to do is we're going to put farm equipment in that line of sight thing. So you'd have combines and stuff like that would disrupt, that would not give a clear view from that roof. Well, now it turns out that the Secret Service allowed itself to be overruled by the Trump campaign itself, that didn't want the farm implements to be disrupting photos and that kind of thing. And this is pretty surprising to me. This is actually pretty shocking to me. And this is coming to us from Real Clear Politics. And it turns out that it likely was not as much the Secret Service's fault in at least the line of sight situation as it was the Trump campaign's fault, providing the line of sight for this punk to shoot him. Now, again, there's the other question about how he managed to get up on the roof and all this kind of stuff. But as it relates to the American Glass research building and the stage, were far apart enough away, but the line of sight was one where if somebody was on the roof, they could shoot him. And again, Secret Service said, we want to put something to disrupt that line of sight. We're going to put a bunch of farm implements up there, and that's how we're going to do it. And the Trump campaign vetoed it. And so at least two of the agents are being reprimanded and suspended, not for proactively being terrible, but for caving to the Trump campaign. And that's something that I never even heard about and isn't really being talked about a whole lot because I guess apparently no one wants to kind of blame the Trump campaign in part. But it turns out that the Trump campaign, at least some of the people who were running it at the time, made mistakes. And in fact, might have made President Trump highly vulnerable where the Secret Service didn't want him to be. And that's absolutely news for me. And it now appears that the Secret Service agent involved with devising the security plan for Butler and his supervisor may have caved too easily, this is according to the report, and certainly didn't put up much of a fight or escalate the matter back to headquarters. And that was the other important thing. And that's, again, why they were suspended. Because the headquarters people who suspended them said, hey, if you have a dispute like this with a campaign, you need to bounce it back to us and then let us handle it. I don't know how the Secret Service main office would have handled it, but at that point, you can't be calling the balls and strikes in the field there. If you're having a real security debate with the campaign, you need to tell us that that's happening instead of making the decision unilaterally in the field not to disrupt the line of sight because Trump's people don't want you to. That's irresponsible. And it was certainly irresponsible for the Trump campaign. I'm not quite sure some of those people took the matter that seriously or seriously enough in terms of security. They also might not have anticipated that there would be other security failures, including letting the guy up on the roof. So they might have not anticipated that there's another facet of this, and that was certain security personnel being so idiotic that they allowed some guy on the roof. So it's a mixture of things. It always is when it comes to some of these kinds of matters. And it turns out that the lesson here, at least on this level, is that, yes, there was culpability on the part of the Secret Service related to letting this kook get on the roof, and the local police department letting him do all that kind of stuff. There were so many security failures there. But one of the security failures actually involved the Trump campaign itself in ultimately leaving the president vulnerable. And so even if you did have the line of sight there and the kook got up on the roof, he still wouldn't have a clear shot to President Trump. So a lot of things, I mean, it's usually what happens is there are a lot of moving parts involved in a major failure, and that certainly was one of them. That's coming from real clear politics. And yeah, that's the first I've heard of any level of culpability on the part of the Trump campaign. And actually it starts to make sense as to, you're like, well, people were suspended but not fired because it turns out that they were too easily listening to the Trump campaign, either because they wanted to suck up to the Trump campaign or whatever, or maybe they were like, okay, great, then somebody will kill him. Whatever they did. But it turns out that the initial idea to leave the president vulnerable came from the campaign itself. And that is news. It's news. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Jim Carafano, this is a late add to the show because there's some breaking and really surprising news regarding China's role in supporting and creating and even financing the pro-Palestinian riots on campuses and beyond. The Chinese. It's pretty crazy. It's a world of intrigue, and it's going to come to you next on the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, super happy to be with you.
Irrigation systems are put through the stress test throughout our hot Heartland summers when temperatures skyrocket and rain is scarce. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, which you should call today to make sure your irrigation system is running at peak performance. This is critical to ensure your lawn and foliage remain lush and lovely and that your grass and plants thrive instead of just barely survive. Schedule a monthly system checkup today with Hydrodynamics Core to make sure your irrigation system is working at its best. That's hydrodynamicscore.com, hydrodynamicscore.com.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stiefel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Wall That Heals comes to St. Louis County July 24th through 27th at Jefferson Barracks Historic Site. This traveling replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial has brought healing to nearly 800 communities nationwide. Join us as the Vic Percelli Show broadcasts live from the Wall Thursday, July 24th from 9 till noon. Made possible by Best Buy Flooring, Patriot Heating and Cooling, and DG Firearms.
Great patio season to enjoy any of the Cafe Napoli locations. How about the Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield? Enjoying coal-fired pizza, nothing else like it. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in Chesterfield. A few doors down, Lit Cigar Lounge, where you can enjoy premium cigars and whiskeys. Check the Lit Cigar Lounge Facebook for details, plus gift cards for friends. I'll see you at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Senate is expected to vote this hour on its version of a $9 billion recession bill. Bob Agnew with the report.
Republicans say they've mustered the votes needed to pass the package of spending cuts after making concessions that reduce the amount of taxpayer savings from $9.4 to about $9 billion. The concessions included preservation of international AIDS relief money and money for tribal radio stations in South Dakota. The expected passage would give President Trump his second major legislative victory in less than a month. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Trump administration ending the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops in Los Angeles. The troops were tasked with protecting federal buildings and guarding immigration agents as they carried out arrests. That wildfire along the Grand Canyon's relatively isolated north rim has been burning quickly with no containment, according to fire officials. No injuries have been reported, but a visitor center and several cabins have been burned. At first, the fire did not raise alarms after igniting after a lightning strike on July 4th. 4 days later, the Park Service said the fire was being allowed to burn to benefit the land. Fire crews are keeping close watch. Also at townhall.com, President Trump defending the 50-day window he's giving Russia to reach a peace deal with Ukraine. Greg Clugston has more.
The president this week threatened to hit Russia with economic penalties if it fails to end its war with Ukraine within 50 days. And he pushed back on the idea that waiting 7 weeks is too long.
Oh, I don't think 50 days is very long, and it could be sooner than that. I don't think 50 days is very long.
The president said he's on neither Ukraine's side nor Russia's side.
You know what the side I'm on? Humanity's side.
Greg Clugston, the White House.
The search for flood victims continues in Texas, at least 100 still missing. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I've been thinking, why does it feel like losing weight is harder than ever before? With mixed messages, fad diets, the quick fix injections, even magic coffee. I mean, it's overwhelming. Most people are exhausted trying to fight a battle they cannot win. If you feel this way, trust me, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Do what I did. I called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition 3 years ago. I lost 53 pounds. I feel terrific, and I've kept the weight off. Make the phone call that can change your life the way it has changed mine. They won't let you fail. Call 855-696-2020. That's 855-696-2020 to schedule your consultation. The first 11 callers who mention the word healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call now, 855-696-2020. Mention the keyword healthy to get 2 free weeks. Or visit them at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's a hot one today. The high temperature of about 95 degrees puts the heat index up as high as 103 this afternoon. We'll see a couple of isolated thunderstorms here or there during the afternoon hours, but overnight tonight, especially from St. Louis north, We expect some thunderstorms with a front that sinks into the area, and some of those storms could be severe. Not as hot tomorrow, with a few showers and thunderstorms, mainly south of St. Louis. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
Woods Basement Systems, people, I will tell you, JamieLovesWoods.com is the website there. And Woods Basement Systems, I've had their work helping me in both of my homes that I have had the last 20 years or so. So they put the sump pump in that first home. And let me tell you something, sump pumps are great selling points. In fact, in St. Louis County, any new home built these days has to have a sump pump in it. It gives you peace of mind as it all relates to whatever is going on. It gives you peace of mind when it comes to the rain. It helps you know that you can be sitting in your office, it's pouring down rain, and you can be sure that you are not going to be going home and having to wet back all night or carry stuff out that's all waterlogged or whatever. And it won't damage your basement in your home also. So JamieLovesWoods.com is the website for that. And you will get not only that kind of waterproofing, but they also repair cracks and foundation cracks, holes where that water's coming through, and will identify other places that would be allowing water in. So they are the water sleuths and will make sure that your basement is dry, maintaining not only your sanity, but also your property values, because no one likes a non-waterproofed basement. No one on the planet. So check it out. JamieLovesWoods.com. JamieLovesWoods.com.
This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I know you're fed up. Life don't let up for us. All they talk about is what is going down and what's been messed up for us.
Had an embarrassing moment.
When I look around, I see blue skies.
As sometimes you do, you know, in real estate and beyond. You're texting people and stuff. And I'm texting this client. I'm showing him some homes tomorrow. And one of the homes is on a street called White Birch Avenue. White Birch Avenue. And of course, I'm texting him, and apparently I'm all thumbs on the texting. And I said, hey, I'll definitely see you tomorrow at this time at White. And it wasn't Birch Avenue. I'm thinking, and I was horrified because then I didn't want to correct it from the pejorative word to the regular word, because then I might draw attention to it. And so I just ignored it and hoped he didn't notice. And he didn't, or he was just kind of like letting me off the hook there. Oh, it'd be a great street name, though, I would think. If you're naming streets, you might as well go for broke. So anyway, yeah, he was. I've known him for a while because he's a good guy, and he and I have been through the ringer in terms of showing home, so he understands. But it's funny because he's not white, so that's even better. Yep, that's funny. So I am. Oh, Kathleen says she lives on White Bee every day. That's funny. People are funny. You people are funny. Hey, I hope I can see you Saturday morning, 11 o'clock, 11 to 1. I'm going to be demonstrating this warrior water that's so awesome. It's this charcoal-based detox water from the Wellness Warrior folks. And so I'm going to be doing demonstrations of it at Nutrition Stop there on Mexico Road in St. Peter's. Look at me, Mexican Road. See, I can't even speak correctly. Nutrition Stop, Mexico Road. I'll put something up on Facebook for it. But this is really good stuff. I've been on it for a long time. And it's totally tasteless droplets you put in water. Turns your water black, but man, is it refreshing. It's great. And I'll be there for you, hoping to meet you from 11 to 1 at Nutrition Stop. Thank you, Macy Gray. You're such a sweet little human being. I love that song. Hey, all right, so Jim Carrey, he does this to me all the time. Hey, he's like, I'm like, Jim, yeah, I'll be there at 2 o'clock Eastern, all good. And then he's not there. And then I'll probably get like an apology later from him. I'm sorry, man. I'm like, whatever. Well, we'll see. I mean, he's been a good friend, a good loyal friend of the show. So in the meantime, while we wait for him to call or I wait for him to give me some feedback, I'm still going to present you with the story that I promised to give you at the very beginning of the show. And this is nothing short of completely and totally shocking. And this is coming to us based on a study at George Washington University. And it's being disseminated by the Heritage Foundation for the express purpose of alerting people to the fact that what we're seeing on college campuses with the pro-Palestinian riots and everything else is more than likely not organic or grassroots at all. And, we hear stories about this. We hear stories about like Russia interference and China interference. And we always think, oh, are you sure? Because it sounds like conspiracy. How do they do this? Like, how exactly does this work? And how does this operate? But then on the other hand, you're thinking, well, yeah, this actually makes sense, because how many of you out there, even though sometimes you won't put it past your fellow citizen to be this way, but how many of you were like, wow, there are that many people who are anti-Semitic and that many people who support Palestine and Hamas and Rivers to the Sea? Because it was really predominant in the waving of the Palestinian flag and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of shocking and ultimately depressing to think, man, there are really Americans, a lot of them, who really feel that way. And now it turns out, according to this report sent to me by Jimmy Carafano, 32 pages, the George Washington University report says that what appears to be spontaneous grassroots protests is, in some cases, being shaped and supercharged by a foreign government with a vested interest in fracturing U.S. society from within. With increasing clarity, the evidence points to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, leveraging financial resources, propaganda channels, and ideological partners to wage an information war. one that weaponizes the optics of justice to cloak a deeper strategy aimed at using domestic dissent in the U.S. to project weakness abroad while casting China as a principled champion of peace and justice. China, this is me now, China is an enemy of America. It is not a, Jim says, can we do this in 5 minutes? That's cool, Ashton. We'll do it in 5 minutes. We'll do it in 5 minutes. To Bill O'Reilly. We'll do it live. Anyway, they're an enemy. They need to be destroyed somehow. And they are not just annoying because they make stocking stuffers for Christmas and do all this and compete trade wise. They're a bad group of people. The Chinese Communist Party. They created COVID, and they need to be handled. And otherwise, we'll have to handle them in a different way, and that won't look great either. Listen to this, and this is from the investigation, and this is the study. So the investigation zeroes in on Neville Roy Singham, a U.S. businessman based in Shanghai, as a central figure in alleged in channeling Chinese Communist Party aligned funding and narratives into U.S. activist networks. Singham, through a web of nonprofits and affiliated organizations, is alleged to finance groups that have pushed anti-Israel and anti-American messaging under the banner of social justice and Palestinian solidarity. So this is unbelievable and not now surprising when you look at things in hindsight. When you look at it, because, and it turns out, and I'll ask Jimmy about this too, because there is actually now it becomes some question as to whether our response to the universities and everything else, whether or not that was the right response or whether it was a response that played into the plans of the Chinese Communist Party, right? So in kind of tending to dismantle our universities and all that kind of stuff, and I listen, I really don't have any problem with how we handled the Harvard thing, whatever, but it does raise the question of whether or not all of our reactions to all of this is exactly what was intended by the Chinese Communist Party. And I mean, it sounds like I'm just one of these guys with a tinfoil hat on, but this is coming from George Washington University. And had it not come from Jim Carafano, who I trust implicitly, then I wouldn't even really be sending it your way or spending this much time on it, because I would have just had to kind of, oh, well, that's just another thing. That's somebody else, or it's somebody making excuses for Harvard or whatever, or just trying to whitewash really what's going on and the diabolical nature of it. So when it comes from Jim, I'm thinking that has an instant stamp of credibility that I feel that I need to get into and go into in full detail. Then you think about this, and you're thinking about the pro-Palestinian movement, and you're thinking, well, China, this isn't the first time they've done something like this. Was Black Lives Matter all a coercive, non-grassroots, Chinese-funded operation with certain people who were just greedy enough to take the money? We could go all the way back to the Rodney King riots. We could go all the way back to cocaine in the black community in California that we initially blamed on the CIA, but could also be something. I mean, China just didn't discover how to do this. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of an early break here, because then we'll get Jim on the phone, and that way I don't have to burn through a break, and I could break on time here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little break here. We'll get Jimmy back on the line, and we'll explore this a little more. But this is pretty amazing to me. We really need to do something about this, and I'll ask Jim what possibly could be done. This is Common Sense Radio on this Wednesday. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, got to tell you, I love Rodney and Jen Wallner and the Wallner home selling team. And it's kind of like, I loved it so much, I joined the team. Well, I actually did. So now I am a real estate agent and a proud one with the Wallner home selling team of Berkshire Hathaway. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. It's pretty amazing and just absolutely incredible the kind of work they do. They are the number one home selling team in Berkshire Hathaway's network, and there's a reason for that. We've got a system where, first of all, it's top-notch, top-of-line. It is absolutely, totally focused on making you as a home buyer and a home seller happy and taken care of from start to finish, to get you the lowest commission rates, to get you the house of your dreams, or facilitate getting you to the house of your dreams because you're able to sell your house very easily at the top dollar. We really can create a great competitive environment for your home and also create a competitive environment for your offers on a home, that's for sure. Just call 314-810-SOLD, 314-810-SOLD. You can ask specifically for me or just call the number, whatever. They'll take good care of you, and we'll be off to the races in helping you get into the home of your dreams or sell the home so you can get into the home of your dreams. Whatever it happens to be, the Wallner home selling team should be your partner in all of these endeavors. 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Replacing your windows and doors? Do not settle for ordinary. Go extraordinary. Renewal by Anderson, the full-service window and door replacement division of Anderson, a name trusted for more than 120 years. Their exclusive FiberX material combines the strength and durability of wood with low-maintenance features of vinyl. You get windows and doors twice as strong as vinyl, energy efficient, built to last. For a limited time, get 25% off every window, patio door, or entry door. No payments for 18 months, zero interest. This is their best new client discount. Dial pound 250, say the keyword windows, or visit rbastl.com. Pound 250, keyword windows, rbastl.com. Get your free estimate. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Tired of the same old pizza chains? Boring. Want a delicious alternative? Look no further. Woodson Stonefire has you covered, offering a delicious, mouth-watering alternative with a wide menu that surely offers something for everyone's taste. Our pizza will have you saying wow. Family-owned and operated, in addition to being locally owned. Pizza is truly our passion. Woodson Stonefire, 3120 West Clay in St. Charles. Call 636-493-0532 to place your order now.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
There's something wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong with our eyes.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. JD Allman here with you and Ashland over there. So I gave you the kind of guts of this really stunning study that Jim Carafano sent to me this morning. And as I said, when Jim sends me something, I take it very, very seriously. And if that's something that Jim's thinking about and he thinks this George Washington University study has some credibility, then I'm all in on that. Jim Carafano, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Is this the Jamie Allman?
This is the Jamie Allman, not the AI version.
Authentic Jamie Allman? That's impressive.
Nice.
Not the fake news one. Okay, got it.
Not the fake news guy. Not that guy.
Like, not the AI Jamie Allman. It's the real one.
They could never reproduce either one of us with AI. It just would be
AI
impossible.
would just throw up its hands in fear and run away.
Yeah, it'd be start to chase the Chinese guy around the lab. That's what he would do. So, hey, this study, this is shocking to me. On the one hand, it has all the plausibility in the world because, for some reason, I'm seeing all these people on these campuses and all these pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine people, all this kind of stuff. And it really was hard for me to believe that there were that many people who really felt that way. And so in many ways, this study is both disturbing, but also a little bit enlightening in terms of whether or not this is all real. So tell me about it.
Well, so basically what the study argues is that there's Chinese money and influence behind the anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic protests inside the United States. So let me tell you, on its face, why that seems like a credible explanation. Good friend of mine, Mike Gonzalez, wrote this book, Next Gen Marxism, and also wrote a book about Black Lives Matter. And what he revealed and showed was that there are Chinese money and organization influence behind the groups that organized the Black Lives Matter protests. BLM was not the civil rights movement, not Montgomery Bridge, not even the anti-war movement of the Vietnam. This was not a bottom-up movement. This was a movement that was orchestrated and funded by money and organizations, and that the Chinese had a role in funding the Black Lives Matter protests. Other guys, Jonathan Schanzer at Foundation for Democracy, did a big layout and showed the linkage of Islamic groups and Islamic influence, and also the links of George Soros and Open Society to all the same groups, the BLM groups, and to the groups that were in the streets about anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism. Couldn't prove that what they did was a crime, but absolutely could prove to the people in the streets and rioting and doing the organized political violence were connected to these money chains. And now we've got pretty solid evidence that these same people, same groups are linked to the people out doing the ICE demonstrations. And whether I actually don't think that George Soros and the Chinese government are sitting down and coordinating strategies. But the reality is they are funding things which are supporting the same people and leading to the same outcomes. So Soros is trying to transform America into something that doesn't exist now. The Chinese are happy to support this because they think it's going to lead to a weaker, more disorganized, divided America that's going to make the world better for China. So if there is an organization out there that is advocating for something that is actually diminishing of America's cohesion and power and influence in the world, the Chinese are willing to give money. That's the reality of the world in which we live.
Yeah, and that's interesting because they also mentioned in the report this guy, Neville Roy Singham, who's a U.S. businessman based in Shanghai. That's crazy. So it's not only Soros, apparently.
Well, and this is this kind of unholy thing because his wife was one of the founders of Code Pink.
Oh, wow.
So the radical street opposition in America, really beginning post 9/11, is being funded and driven by people like George Soros and by the Chinese and to some extent the Russians. Again, are they working together? It doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense. But are they working for common objectives? And the answer is absolutely. It certainly seems that way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's crazy about Code Pink because I was wondering before you came on because I was looking at this situation with the pro-Palestinian rally. I said, this can't be the first time China's ever done this. And now, man, you go back in time. I mean, even if you want to go back to the George Floyd riots and things, you're thinking, man. I wonder if, yeah.
So you put this in your head. The same people that are supporting Black Lives Matter are supporting the anti-ICE demonstrations, are supporting the Jew hate demonstrations in the United States. The exact same people. What do those three things have in common? The answer is nothing, other than the fact that they are attacking the rule of law inside the United States.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. So then there was another element of the study that I thought was interesting to talk about, and that was whether or not the approach, like, for instance, let's just take the pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian rallies.
Right.
Was our approach to how we dealt with the universities something that actually was the outcome that some of these ne'er-do-wells, the Chinese, were looking for, some disruption in all of this, and whether or not that was the best choice in terms of response, or whether that actually played into the hands of the Chinese?
Well, I mean, certainly I think the Chinese are looking for anything that diminishes the United States. On the other hand, look, this argument, well, we're attacking universities, that's disrupting research and all this. I don't buy any of that.
Yeah.
Because again, in these research and so much of this money we've seen is actually money laundering, right? It's literally money going back into the pockets of people and enriching them and giving them a reason to kind of support this campaign. And indeed, what we've seen with the Open Society money is it's not even George Soros's money. George Soros puts in the seed money, then he puts people in government, and then the people in government give him grants to push these radical causes. It's nuts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems to me that that part of it was hard for me to swallow a little bit in terms, because it seems to me that all the Chinese did and all these people, these conspirators did, was they knew that the Harvard and all these places would have this weak response, and they knew that, so they exploit openings and holes, and so I'm wondering whether or not that's really what they were looking for.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Chinese are largely interested in access, disruption, and exploitation, right?
Yeah.
But again, so I mean, there's kind of two open questions. I mean, is there actual collusion? I mean, coordinating between these foreign elements and these NGOs and liberal organizations like George Soros and people in the Democratic Party, which could be, could not. I don't have evidence either way. And also, are they committing criminal acts?
Yeah.
Right. Because it's one thing to fund something that doesn't, and fund something that you don't like, and even fund something that leads into somebody else doing a criminal act. But that's not the same as you doing a criminal act. So we have this thing called RICO, which is, the law that we use to go after the mafia and the Five Family, which is planning and organizing criminal activity is a crime in and of itself, right? So if they are doing that, they have committed a crime, right? Or if they're doing something other illegal, whether it's money laundering or something else, right? So these are the questions that I think can be answered. But at the end of the day, if we want to have a free and open society, and we don't want to make democracy a suicide pact, we have to go after these networks that are funding and putting organized political violence on the streets of America, because that is a national threat. And it's not about educating people. Like, you can spend $1 billion educating people on the Holocaust. That's irrelevant. Has nothing to do with educating people. Some of the smartest people in the world are the worst anti-Semites.
Yeah.
The worst Jew haters. You got to take down the networks, because what's poisoning kids' minds, what's putting people in the streets, what's doing all this is not righteous anger. It's not social justice. It's money being spent to drive these outcomes. And when you take that off the streets, that's when this stops. There's a thing in the military, it's called right of the boom, right? So if you think about it, is, you could stop an IED attack by not driving over the IED, right? But even better, if you killed the guy that was in place in the IEDs, well, there wouldn't be IEDs on that road. If you killed the guy that was building the IEDs, there wouldn't be any IEDs on the road. If you killed the guy that's funding the guy that's building the IEDs, then there wouldn't be any IEDs to begin with. So the further up you go on the food chain and chop this off, the more impact you have downstream.
Yeah. Well, when Pam Bondi announced these major cartel busts yesterday, mainly involving fentanyl and certainly involving the cartels, at that point, then the Chinese have to be clearly involved, not only in the drug running with the cartels, but also involved in actually the process of human trafficking, which I so appreciate you just when a long time ago, making sure that when we talked about closing the border or doing border control, that we weren't just talking about just the sanctity of the border. We were talking about ending human trafficking. So it's clear the Chinese have to be part of that too.
Yeah, and you know, I think Don Bongino talked about this. It's really the most important thing is nobody can question that the Chinese are in the business of creating a business of getting poison to America's streets. That's not even up for debate. What a lot of people don't realize is they're not doing this for money. There is not a lot of profit for the Chinese in manufacturing precursors or in working with the cartels. They're not making a ton of money out of this. So why are they doing this? They're doing this to poison and weaken America.
Yeah.
That's a very scary thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we're supposed to believe that they didn't invent COVID either. I mean, but anyway, so what do we do about this? I mean, how do you battle this, and what do you imagine would be the Trump administration's plans? Because obviously they know this is going on.
This is so. Here's a trivia question for you. Who are the current heads of the 5 families in New York? The 5 mafia families. Name them.
I don't know.
You can't because they don't exist anymore,
right?
Because what we did is in the 1980s, we went after the networks and we took down is there mafia still in America? Of course. Are there criminals still in America? Right. Is there extortion and money laundering and, illegal gambling and prostitution? Yeah, you bet. But is there a national organized network that is plowing through billions and billions of dollars doing that, run by some guy named Vito? The answer is no. And the reason for that is we took the network down. We're never going to get rid of all the drug trafficking, prostitution, human trafficking, and everything else. But these networks which do this on this mega scale, we can get rid of that. And more importantly, the fact that these weapons are in the hands of the enemies of America, whether they're George Soros or the guys in Beijing, that we can stop that. So
yeah,
so have that, and so yeah.
So I guess I have to wonder though, in order to have the bringing down of these networks, you have to have a level of motivation on pretty much everybody in the higher reaches of government. And I don't want to be Mr. Negative here, but sometimes I think that some people in our government are okay with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I don't think their names are Bongino, Patel, and Bondi.
Yeah, right.
Which is why, I don't want to break up the band.
Yeah, definitely.
I love the Beatles, right? These 3 people together are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
to organized crime in the United States, and we need to focus on those guys focusing on their day job and doing that. I'm with everybody on the Epstein files. Please put this. I know actually people who have gone through these files, and they'll tell you that there's a lot of stuff in there on victims and everything. And they've all been, all the incriminating stuff. They should be out there. I mean, that's transparent. We should do that, and we shouldn't be distracted. We should do that, and we have an obligation to do that. And these guys, these 3 guys, should figure out how to do that. And they should serve their president and get that freaking thing done. And then get back to and if there's people you can prosecute, because I can't think of anything more horrific than molesting a child. Definitely go after those guys and name and shame them. But just get that out of the way, dude, and get back to the freaking job of going after the people that are trying to destroy America.
That's why I'm glad that Mike Lee wants Ghislaine Maxwell to testify. I think that's the way to do it. And you must have been listening to my show the last 2 weeks, because that's what I've been talking about. It's like, golly, I do not want to be in this situation where we've got a bunch of people in the Make America Great Again movement all warring with each other over whether Bondi or Bongino should go. It's like, gee whiz, people, come on. We've worked too hard for this. Let's not start to put on our different colored T-shirts here and figure it out. But I do.
Let's not get on the ark and then start throwing the giraffes overboard. The elephants. No,
Yeah, but I do think that there has to be, there is another alternative here, and that is just simply to keep on the law enforcement track on this. And I don't think there's any question that Bongino and Patel and Bondi, and then of course on the subcommittee end, we can get to the bottom of what's going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just get on course, do the right thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's such a hackneyed phrase, right? Walk and chew gum. I mean, but if we can't bring transparency to something that is a major case of child molesting and child abuse that went on for years, which involved some of the most powerful people in the country, if we can't bring some fresh air to that and get that out there, and go after what the heck's wrong with us, and go after the Chinese and George Soros and these guys. What is wrong?
Yeah, well, John Solomon seems to believe that that's happening. It's a matter of, just giving it a little time and just kind of take a little more measured tone, since nobody talking about this actually knows anything for sure. So, that Solomon says, hey, listen, I guarantee you something's coming down the pike. It's just a matter of trying to figure it out and what ultimately is going to come down. But I think there definitely are going to be some prosecutions over this Epstein thing. It's just a matter of time. So we'll see.
Well, maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. I don't know. But, the one thing we can do is the one thing that we never got from the left, which is we can be transparent with people. We can follow the rule of law, and we can let the law take us where it goes. That's, we need to be authentic and real about this. And this is a difference, right? This is the definition of the success of MAGA and the failure of MAGA. If MAGA becomes some kind of religion and an orthodoxy where we all have to believe the same thing, then then it will die as a movement. If MAGA believes what it was created as, which is the people that govern have a responsibility to govern well, and we be authentic and honest about this, and maybe it isn't all clean and perfect and everything else, but that is a successful movement. It's like nobody is father knows best. Nobody is the perfect parent.
Yeah.
If that's what you're looking for, you're always going to be disappointed. But if you want a real parent, sometime that makes mistakes, but that loves you and cares and is always trying to do the right thing, then you have a political movement that is only going to last for generations, but is going to serve Americans and their human flourishing well. So that's the MAGA movement that we deserve. That's what we want, and that's what we should demand. Not what some pundit says. This is the right thing, and you should fire people that don't agree with you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Or a parent you trust enough to wait and see instead of just running away from home. And again, I think you're right. I mean, just find out, because, I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert in police work, that kind of thing. But the one thing you don't do is, if you've got something cooking and you're kind of looking at something and you've got some investigation going, you don't tip people off that you know what's going on. You give them a false sense of security that this thing's going to go away. And then you move in. So I don't know. I don't know, but I'm willing to wait to find out. That's all.
Right. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And the thing is, look, if you're being played, it'll come out eventually.
Oh yeah.
And then those people would have, not earned your trust. But if I give my trust to people, I don't take it away 5 seconds later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Because then we'd all be divorced.
Yeah. And you go on track records, and you kind of sit there and say, well, when has President Trump ever really actually lied or flim-flam me? And I can't think of one example. So,
where I have kind of, done people over and over again because they react to a tweet or a thing or something else, and my hair's on fire. I'm clutching my pearls. It's the end of the world. And then 5 minutes later, the president does exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you waited 5 minutes, maybe you'd have got your answer. But no, you got to but no, seriously, it is like a marriage. Yeah. It's like if you freaked out every time your wife yelled at you, or hope she's not listening, or disagreed with you or something, then nobody'd ever stay married.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of, and then there's, some people really should not be married, but then there's a track record there that this is not a person I should be with. I get that.
Yeah.
But, an election is kind of like a marriage, you have some trust and confidence in it. If it bears out, you'll have a good relationship. But if not, then vote for somebody else. But,
right.
Come on.
Right. Yep. You danced with the person you brought to the ball for a little while there.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, it's always good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. You're the best. Love you, man. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Which is why I've been doing the Jamie Allman Show for all these years, because my friends, you dance with the one that brung you.
Well, I appreciate that so much. I remember the first day we talked. You're the best. That is Jim Carafano with the 1940s film noir hang up. He doesn't ever say goodbye. That's one thing I love about him. He just like in the old movies, when people are done with phone conversations, they don't say bye. They just hang the phone up. That's what Jim does. Oh, and it's so Bogarts of him. All right. You won't believe what's happening in Rhode Island with some of these officials endangering the safety of ICE. Unreal. They're probably paid by the Chinese, too. Never forget Smash saying one time in the early days of Common Sense Radio, watch out for the Chinese. That was 20 years ago. Get him back on the air and celebrate his ability to see into the future. This is Common Sense Radio.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Live and local.
Welcome home. And whoosh, sitting in traffic, stuck in a jam, and being entertained by Vic and Thunderstealing Ken.
This is News Talk STL.
Oh, wow. I heard somebody talking about a food truck today, but made me think about my buddy and guys over there at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill, Harry Parker and his food truck. This is really cool. And here's what you can do. Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill.com. If you're planning, I think I'm going to go and find out where the food truck is on Friday so I could get some of these beautiful, amazing examples of Nolan's cuisine brought to my doorstep. You can hunt that food truck down, or you can hire it to come to one of your events, your parties, whatever. It's really cool. The Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill food truck, always available. Harry now has 3 locations. I've been with him for 20 years now. I remember when he only had 1 location, and that was right there in Creve Coeur. That's the original one, still there. He's got another location over there in Edwardsville, and, of course, the location there in St. Peter's. All thriving, all great, all happy employees, all great pricing, great portions, all delicious. The mahi-mahi tacos are my favorite over there. Crawfish etouffee, great drink values on happy hour for hurricanes and all that kind of stuff. And you'll really enjoy what Harry Parker and Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill will do for you and what they will put on a plate that they will bring in front of you. It is amazing, beautiful. Harry makes his own spices. They cut their own fish, all their own sauces. Everything is original at Gulf Shores Restaurant and Grill, gulfshoresrestaurantandgrill.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
I've got a great evening planned for you. We start with dining at the Oak Street Inn Lounge in Connellville. We enjoy sunset on the rooftop, then down to the speakeasy. Just one visit, you're going to see why I'm always talking about the Oak Street Inn and Lounge. Plus, you might want to plan a staycation, a romantic getaway. Check out oakstreetinandlounge.com for various events this summer. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville.
Dr. Joe Ogile is my sleep doctor, and you ought to make him yours because he's amazing at what he does. The Clayton Sleep Institute. So here's the deal. You've got sleep apnea, which is snoring. You've got a wife or husband who is sleeping in another room because of your snoring, and you really don't know what to do about it. You don't know how dangerous it is for you because your breathing is stopping during the night. Or for that matter, you're in a situation where you just are not getting the kind of sleep you need. And so you're thinking you get 8 hours and then you sit there and fall asleep at a stoplight. It's no way to live, or at your desk, whatever. And you're gaining weight because your metabolism are all screwed up because of it. So that's what you got to do with Dr. Joe Ogile and Clayton Sleep Institute. So he could give you some take-home apparatus. He can let you come into the clinics. These are like boutique hotels. Every time I take a tour there, I love going in there. I feel like crawling into bed because it's so comfortable. It's so amazing. So for your sleep apnea, for your insomnia, for your restless leg syndrome, for pediatric problems as it relates to sleep problems, Dr. Joe Ogile and his team are all over it and will get those things solved for you once and for all. No problems on the insurance coverage and all that other stuff that sometimes people have a hard time doing because Dr. Ogile knows how to make it all happen. So check it out right there. ClaytonSleep.com. That's ClaytonSleep.com.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
President Trump suggesting that Senator Adam Schiff might have committed mortgage fraud. Watch for the fallout.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. That's right, people. That's right, my friends. So, this is crazy because you can't figure out why there are so many individuals who are hell-bent on getting in the way of ICE agents and beyond. And these are people who are supposedly like legit politicians and can't possibly be representing their constituencies in any kind of legit manner. It just is impossible to believe. But it's happening in Rhode Island. So ICE apprehended a known MS-13 gang member with a history of trafficking fentanyl. And for some reason, Rhode Island politicians were enraged by the whole thing, which doesn't make any sense at all. And, after talking to Jim Carafano about all this kind of stuff, as it relates to the Chinese, you got to wonder whether, because some of this stuff is like so outsized. I know there are bad people around and really detestable liberals and leftists and all that kind of stuff, but can they really be that bad to not only come to the defense of rapists and wife beaters and fentanyl drug dealers and everything else? What could be possibly motivating them? And then you got to realize, well, maybe they are just terrible people. Or maybe they're absolutely on the take, and maybe that's how China gets into our politics. You know that in some ways, Eric Swalwell and Fang Fang, that happened. But I'm sure China's subtle about it. This is the mayor. His name is Brett Smiley. And then the council president, Rachel Miller, a couple of white liberals, which is the bane of our existence, or the bane, I should say, right? Whatever. They're responding to these concerns mostly about the fact that police might be helping ICE, which, of course, stands to reason that they would. ICE is not a paramilitary organization or whatever. It's a government outfit. I mean, can you imagine going in and saying, well, we don't like the police department helping out the FBI? It's like, wow. I mean, how do you think that sounds coming out of your mouth?
I'm interested in making sure that our community knows that Providence Police are there to protect them, that they will not cooperate or serve as immigration agents. And preliminarily, we believe that policy was followed in that instance, although it certainly was.
By the way, obnoxiously, he's wearing a yellow ribbon pin. And you know what the yellow ribbon pin is for, because they're insinuating somehow that these people who are being arrested are being kidnapped. And so they're hostages. And the yellow ribbon, you remember that time, tied around the tree, bring them home. This is unbelievable.
I have serious concerns even of the perception that Providence Police is partnering, working with in any way, supporting the activities of ICE.
Unbelievable. The people of Providence, and Providence isn't a bad town by any stretch of the imagination. It's a very liberal town. Shouldn't be in any way, shape, or form tolerating this. One more thing, too, quickly. Listen to this. This is Adam Schiff, who loved the lawfare against Donald Trump and everything else, supported it, supported the Russia hoax, supported impeachment trials, everything else. Now he's having this reaction to possibly being criminally prosecuted for mortgage fraud. Here's what he had to say. At least I think this is what he had to say. So he is claiming that this is like a violation of the rule of law. Here's a guy who's an expert in it, in violating the rule of law. Adam Schiff, let's see if you can talk. There you go.
This on social media, accusing me of crimes and saying that I needed to be brought to justice. This in and of itself is not new. Trump has been threatening prosecution or jailing of me, accused me of various things over the years. But I want to put this in the context of not only his attacks on me, but also his attacks on other perceived political enemies and what it means for the rule of law.
Uh-huh. And this guy wouldn't know the rule of law if it came out cartoon style as an anvil falling from the sky, a la the Roadrunner. This guy wouldn't know how the rule of law, the integrity of the rule of law is in any way, shape, or form, because he and his Democrat friends have abused it. If I'm President Trump, I'm continuing on with this kind of stuff. And if indeed Adam Schiff is guilty of mortgage fraud, that's another job, ladies and gentlemen, for Pam Bondi. She's going to be a busy human being over the next 2 weeks, I guarantee you. And as Jim Carafano pointed out, Pam is not going to be able to do it without Dan and Cash, the three musketeers. And I wholeheartedly agree with Jim Carafano that we need to keep that band together. And hopefully it'll stay that way. You guys have a great rest of your day. Ashlyn, thank you so much. Coming up, Tony Colombo and Colombo and Company. Thank you for listening. Have a great rest of your day.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch.
There have been some 850 rescues.
What happened? Why did it happen?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Success.
It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country.